Hello, internet viewer. Are you interested in the Leica Q343? Or maybe the Q3, but don't know which one to choose? Well, you're in the right place, because we're going to talk about that today. Mainly, we're going to talk about how close these things focus in regular mode, in macro mode, and then I'm going to crop them both in and we're going to look at some images together, which should be a lot of fun for both of us. If you're watching this video right now, I am shocked and surprised. This is video number 4. I have 3 other videos, and I have talked in one of those videos about the differences between the Q3 and the Q343. What's going to make this video different? Not really anything. Just kidding. I have different pictures, and I've gotten to use the Q343 a lot more for my other channel, which incidentally, I made another video and I talked about being a full-time YouTuber, which I am, but obviously not on this channel because we have, I don't know, 600 subscribers, which blows me away considering that it's been about a week. So I appreciate it. If you've subscribed and you're watching this channel for the second time, God forbid the third time, have yourself checked, go see a psychiatrist. But I appreciate it. I had no idea that these videos would do as well as they have. So thank you. But you're not here to listen to me talk. Oh, my other channel is the Cheap Audio Man. I talk about speakers and stuff like that, amplifiers and stuff like that. I use my Leica Q3 for a lot of B-roll, including video. But I really bought this camera, and I talked about it in the previous video. If you want to watch that, you can. I would link it here, but YouTube won't let me link videos yet because it's such a new channel. Anyway, I got the Q because I lost my passion for photography because I use this silly thing all the time. It's Sony a7 IV, I think. And I had basically pursued every other camera manufacturer. Fuji, which I didn't love at all. Nikon, Olympus or OM systems, and I was Leica curious, which you might be Leica curious. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You're in the right place. I was Leica curious. I wanted to get the Q3 and they were out of stock everywhere. I was on a press trip in Italy and we went to the Leica store in Rome. And one of the guys that I went with is a big Leica fan. Actually, 2 guys that I went with are big Leica fans, go figure. And they said, let's go to the Leica store. If they have a Q3, you're buying it. And I said, okay. And I had my Sony there, and I also had the Nikon ZF, which I really liked actually. And I walked in, and guess what? They had a Q3 in stock, so I bought it, and then I sold the Nikon ZF. And in a nutshell, that's how I got the Leica Q3. So why do I have the Leica Q343? Well, I like spending money. I like wasting money. I wanted this because the 28mm isn't perfect for me when it comes to photographing my family. And ultimately, what the Q system is meant to do for me, personally, is photograph my family. Because I had lost almost 2 years of memories because I wasn't taking photos because I was doing YouTube so much. And I hated this camera. I don't hate you. You make money for me. I just don't like you. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the camera. The Sony. You viewer, I really love. Thank you so much for watching this video. I use this, the Q3 28mm, probably gonna get sick of me saying that. I use this all the time to do B-roll. The one frustrating thing on video is that when I'm controlling ISO manually, I can only control it in full stop. So 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600. If you put the ISO into auto mode, it will adjust in 1/3 stop increments. I like to have control over my exposure when I'm shooting video. So that has been something that I don't love. If there's a way to manually control ISO with 1/3 stop increments, put it in the comments, because I've been through the menus as many times and I have yet to be able to find how to adjust ISO by 1/3 stop increments. It may exist because it does it when it's in auto, but I can't find it. The one criticism I think people might have about the 28 when you're shooting B-roll close up or products close up is the distortion. And I actually find that more appealing because I tried today to shoot some just practice B-roll so that you can get an idea of what I'm looking at. And the 43 doesn't have nearly as much distortion. So for instance, I was videoing a amplifier today and I tried to get the amplifier to take up the same amount of space in the frame. And I noticed the 43 footage, everything was neat and tidy and straight lines. And I didn't really notice that the 28 didn't have straight lines until I really compared them. And if anything, I think the Q343 is a little bit clinical, if not boring. And I'm not particularly looking for truth when I shoot B-roll. The 28 gives you a little bit more voluptuous curves. And I know that's probably strange to use when I'm talking about an amplifier or a speaker, but there is just a little bit of yumminess in its imperfection. And I kind of like that it's not perfect. It's like vinyl records. People love vinyl records, right? Well, streaming's better, CDs are better technically, but people love vinyl. I love vinyl because of the imperfections, because of the personality. The 28 has much more personality when you are taking photos of close-up objects, or especially in macro mode too. Which leads me into the next point. Hold on. Got too many leather camera straps on the desk. The Q343 does not focus nearly as close. I talked about this in a previous video. I didn't have great footage. So today I made sure that I took some good photographs as well as shot some good footage of how close the Q343 can focus. The 28 can focus much more closely in regular mode and in macro mode. The 43, I'm starting to get used to it. When it's not focusing in regular mode, I can switch it into macro mode and get the same field of view that I'm looking for, but it's not very close. Like I have to put this thing in if I was filming me right now on this camera, I would have to be in macro mode. So on one of the previous videos, I actually didn't include this part because it just got too long and rambly, but it's about arm's length away where this thing is going to be able to focus in regular mode. If you put it into macro mode, that's another story. However, when you put it into macro mode, you go to an f2.8. So there's two takeaways for this. One, the 43 does not focus nearly as close in regular mode or in macro mode. The image that you're going to get out of the 43 when you're in macro mode and you are as close as you possibly can get is not going to be as big as the image you get from the 28mm when you're in macro mode and you are focusing as close as you can possibly get. It's bigger. They're both good, but I'm addicted to the 28 because that's what I'm used to, and you can get right up on stuff with the 28. It's going to distort though. Do you want truth or do you want sexy, voluptuous personality? If you want truth, the 28's not for you. If you want sexy, voluptuous personality close up on stuff, then the 28 is definitely for you. I think I might have just figured out the title. The Leica Q3, sexy, voluptuous personality. I don't know if that'll play well. So cropping, croptastic. 43 is definitely croptastic. I was at soccer practice today and I took some photos. It was a really good environment to take pictures cropped in because I was indoors, the light was stable. I took some last night at my other daughter's soccer game, but I was so far away it was a little bit more difficult. My younger daughter, they weren't nearly as far away. I was sitting, so it was a football field, but I was diagonal to where they were at. They were at the 15-yard line, but I was diagonal. I would say I was probably 30 yards away from these pictures that you're going to be looking at. And I cropped them both in, I think, to 75 and then to 90. I can't remember, but I'll put it on the screen. And it was an ideal situation because they were smack dab in the middle of the field and then all the way back, like 100, maybe not 100 yards, 75 yards away was the back wall. So you can look at the out of focus bokeh of the back wall and you can figure out which one is which. There wasn't a ton of difference, but I could definitely tell the 28, well, the resolution was less, right? Because you have a longer lens on the 43. But the out of focus was also more pronounced on the 43, which again, makes sense. You have a longer lens. And then I also cropped in all of the way. So I cropped into 90 on the Q3, cropped into 150 on the Q343. So if you're a parent or you're going to use the Q a lot for doing family stuff and your kids play sports, then I think the Q343 is the right way to go. If the subject or the person is separated from the background, because you just have so much more length. You can really reach out and touch somebody. Not really, but with your photos. You may affect them too. You might reach out and touch their heart. Take a nice picture of your kid with a bunch of bokeh in the background. In my last video, somebody put a comment that was really good. It was so good, in fact, that I forgot, but I'm going to try to paraphrase it. Basically, the 28 is giving you the scene, and the 43 is giving you the person in the scene. And I said it before, if you're within 5 feet and you're trying to photograph a person or a subject, 28's great because you still get a lot of the story. If that person is greater than 10 feet away, you're going to lose a lot of the story with the 43, but the story now becomes the subject or the person you're photographing, whatever it is. Don't know how to say it. Taking a photo of. Because the 28 starts to look like a cell phone picture if the person is 10 feet or more away from you. If that makes sense. I think the question that a lot of people are asking about this camera is wrong because these are very different tools, I think, for different applications. They both can kind of do what the other one does, but not do it well. The 43 is not as good as telling stories when your subject is close up. The 43 is also not as good because of the focal length of capturing large scenes from closer up. Obviously, the 28 is wider. You can get around that if you do a little bit of Lightroom stuff, you can just shoot a panorama. The 43 is also not as good at macro photography or macro videography. And even if you could focus as closely as the 28 focuses, I still would grab the 28 because of that personality, the imperfections. I think that is appealing. I think it's interesting to see the way that the amplifier is rendered, to see how the line, you can't really tell when you're looking at the 28. You can only tell when you're comparing the 28 images to the 43 images about the warping, the bending, the bulging. But I like it more. I like the 28 more. I like the imperfections. That's just me though, you may not like it. When it comes to people, unless that person is close to you, as I said before, I like the 43 way better. The person is the story, the subject is the story. With the 28, the scene is the story. So the Q343 is not simply a tighter version of the 28. It's a completely different tool. It can be used a bit for what you would use the 28 for. But how I see these two cameras working into my workflow is the 28 is going to continue to be the macro close-up photo and video tool because of the personality, because I find it very interesting, the footage that you get out of the 28 close-up. The 43 is going to probably be used more personally than it will be used professionally, where the 28 is going to be used professionally. No one's probably here right now, but if you are here, please consider subscribing and liking. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Check out one of my other videos if you can. I think I named the channel The Not So Cheap Cameraman. because my other channel is the Cheap Audio Man. I want to keep it all in the family. Man.